Hello, welcome.
Hello, how are you?
Ooh, hold on, my volume. There we go. Can you try that again?
Hello, how are
Oh,
you?
hi. How are you?
Good, good.
Good, welcome. Thank you for joining us. I know a lot of people are off today for Good Friday, so I'm going to record our session and give folks a moment to get their audio set up. And I'm going to see if I can share my screen. So if I can have somebody weigh in, let me know if you can see it all right.
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, excellent. Let's see. There's not a lot of us, so why don't we start maybe with some introductions, if that's okay? If everyone just wants to introduce yourselves and let me know what organization you're here from, and I guess what you do in relation to marketing might help lead our discussion. Since it's so small, it can be interactive if that's helpful, or I can just share the slides that I have created in advance. So I'm Beth Krallis. I work for the Chester County Community Foundation. I've been here for like almost 7 years now, and I run the marketing, and one of the initiatives being Chester County 250, helping with the marketing for the countywide organization happening that hopefully you guys are already familiar with, but I have a few slides to go over that in a moment. So Heather, if you want to introduce yourself.
Sure. I'm Heather Grayberg. I'm the executive director at Uptown Chester. And yeah, as far as marketing, right now we're very much just focused on figuring out the programming. So we plan on doing an Americana series. So at least one event per month is going to be focused on 250 and the history of the country, celebrations of the US. So just looking to glean information about how we can dovetail with other people and bigger initiatives happening across the county. And yeah, we're really just starting to dive in here.
Awesome. Well, it's good timing. So thank you for that. Some of the other folks on the call, I can't see you, Betty, but if you want to turn on your camera, you can. If not, are you able to introduce yourself and tell us what organization you're here on behalf of, or oh, we can't hear you. If for some reason you don't have the ability to talk right now on camera, then you're welcome to introduce yourself in the chat, or just hop on whenever you get your audio worked out. Rick, I also can't see you, and it looks like you're still connecting to the audio. So welcome. We're happy to have you. If you want to jump in and introduce yourself, please feel free. And how about Shannon? I see you have joined us. Shannon Montgomery, would you be able to introduce yourself? If not, then you are welcome to kind of interrupt later if you'd like to introduce yourself. I don't want to speak at you. I'd love to make this more conversational, but let me get through the slides and see where things go. How's that? Okay, so I am going to share my screen here. Oh, I see a chat. Okay. Oh, Shannon from County Lines. Okay, welcome, Shannon. We work a lot with Joanne Duraco, so we are excited to have you here, and I hope this will be helpful for you. And I see another message. No, I think that's the only one. Okay, excellent. Okay, can you guys see my screen okay?
I can see it just fine.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so I don't, marketing's one of those things. I don't want to bore you with stuff that you already know, but, I'm going to start at the beginning and feel free to interrupt as appropriate. So as you know, hopefully you've been joining us on these resource workshops and the other Zoom sessions. Since you're here, you're aware 250 is coming. Planning has already begun. And yeah, we're focused on life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, the Declaration of Independence, and all of these revolutionary ideals. And Chester County's initiative specifically focused on inclusivity, the power of place, we the people, and unfinished business. And hopefully our marketing efforts will, have some tie-in to many or any of these themes. And this is just another representation of what Chester County's focused on, being the Philadelphia campaign, our agricultural bounty, iron, steel, and industry, and then unfinished revolution, the path to freedom. So hopefully you've seen some of this before. This is our America 250 Chesco timeline. We are here. We are coming up on the 4th of July, which might be, where you see a pickup in some of these patriotic events taking place. Certainly more in 2026, but hopefully we'll see some lead up to 2026 as well. And, we're still in this awareness stage. So if you're feeling like your planning has not fully formed yet, I think that we're all in that boat where, like, hopefully that comes soon, and hopefully this helps prepare us all for that. So again, I'm Beth Krallis. I'm here to talk about marketing and promotion, some strategies that might work to amplify your impact and engage your communities. I think a lot of the either nonprofits or heritage sites or municipalities that are on the call right now, I think you're probably already doing a lot of marketing. So hopefully what you're doing for America 250 will be a way to continue with your marketing and just an overlay on top of your existing marketing. That might make things easier for you. However, if you don't have a strong marketing plan, then this might be a good place to just begin your marketing efforts and using this as a guide to help grow your awareness, your marketing, and your promotion. So just to begin, Chester County is rich in history and heritage. I think we know that. And I think we want to use our marketing efforts for America 250 and Chester County 250 to, reach more audiences, gain more support, gain more engagement, and kind of increasing awareness to Chester County's unique historical and cultural significance. So we want to do that, or many of you guys are planning to do that through event attendance, through more financial support, and just, strengthening your organization and your mission. So the first step in marketing is really to know your audience. You are probably trying to attract more than one audience in a lot of cases. So it might be to figure out, are you trying to reach local residents? Are you trying to reach the people who live, work, and play in Chester County? Or are you looking for tourists, people who are coming and visiting the area or might be visiting adjacent areas and trying to attract them to visit your site or your program or whatever it is that's taking place? And a lot of times we're also trying to reach schools, students, teachers. So it's important to identify maybe your primary audience and then any secondary or tertiary audiences, and then figure out what are your audience's interests. That might help, decide how to tailor your programming. So Heather, I'll use you for an example because you're the one who spoke up earlier, but what you're looking to do programming once a month and your audience interests might be varied. So maybe your programming is going to vary month to month. That's the kind of decision making that you should make before you start your marketing, basically. And then you want to tailor your marketing to reach your audiences. So have some, general information here that local people might care about the history of Chester County's relevance to current community events or current issues. So current things happening in our community. We, read the news and we hear about it all the time. How does that relate to history, and how can we attract locals by sharing those stories? Tourists, one of our biggest assets is being generally close to other major historical sites. So for tourists, we might want to say like, hey, visit outside of Philadelphia and come to Chester County, and that proximity is going to help us. And for schools, it's a lot of experiences you can bring that bring history to life. So those are the things that children remember for a very long time, hopefully. So I will keep going, and feel free to stop me if you do have any questions. So one of the biggest, places to start once you've defined your audience and their interests the best you can, and maybe prioritize them a bit, would be your brand identity and messaging. So if you're running marketing already and you have a brand identity and messaging, that's amazing. You probably want to do something with that existing branding and overlay it with something for America250, whether that is this logo at the bottom, it's up for anyone to use that artwork, and I'm certainly able to share it with you if you'd like, or whether it's to have your organization's regular branding and then do things that are red, white, and blue specifically for this Chester County 250 initiative. That's for you to decide, but whatever you do, a strong brand identity helps. So what you're putting out on social media, what you're putting out on print, it should all be the same. It should all be branded consistently. And it is going to be all of our jobs to create a compelling message. So a message that can preserve Chester County's rich past, quality of life, civic pride. You can kind of take what you want from those themes I mentioned earlier and apply it to your message. It could be patriotism. It could be something very American. It could be something very focused on freedom and independence. It's really up for interpretation here. I think this is where marketing folks can get super creative. And what's nice about a lot of these initiatives is freedom means something different to me than it does to you. And hopefully we can have a conversation about that. Hopefully that doesn't need to be divisive if we craft that message properly. And the last piece on this slide is storytelling for emotional connection. Those are the stories you hear. They don't have to bring tears to your eyes, but they are usually stories of actual people, like a person with a name, hopefully a face, so that those stories you can bring to life through something that's memorable for folks. Something focused on, what did we say? Local history, oral history, community heritage. It could be an individual talking on a social media video. It could be a story printed in County Lines magazine with, some pictures and something that brings it to life a little bit. That emotional connection is what makes marketing super effective, because once something makes you feel an emotion, you're more likely to remember it. And that is also the challenge for marketing, I would say. So we're all familiar, I think, with digital marketing. There are many different platforms you can use to do digital marketing, and I've outlined them here, and I'll share these slides with you if it's helpful after our session today. I would say the biggest takeaway is once you've defined your audience or defined your primary audience, you should probably pick the places that your audience is to do your marketing. Because to me, I've listed 4 different social media platforms, and I only listed 4, and there's more than 4 in the world. Where your audience is where you should be meeting them on social media. So for example, TikTok's going to reach younger audiences, but if your audiences are older, you don't need to be on TikTok. You need to do a good job on the other platforms, because that's where your audience is. Similarly, if your audience is mostly on Instagram and you don't have a strong Instagram presence, this might be a good opportunity for you to up your Instagram presence. Each platform also has different things you can do well on it. For example, Facebook, you can have polls and quizzes, whereas Instagram, you're going to need to showcase with photography, artwork, or videos specifically. So, you know, if you are already doing your marketing, this is a place to just continue to do that marketing. If you're new to this is the place to really figure out what makes sense for you and how you can use it to your advantage for marketing for Chester County 250. You also don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. So if you have a social media platform that you're really good with, that's wonderful. You might also want to be doing email newsletters, because not everyone is on social media, but they might be on your email list, or you might need to start an email list. Or website optimization. This would be, you know, when someone's looking for you, if you don't have like a brick and mortar place they can go and visit you, you should have a website, and your website should have certain calls to action, certain basic information like where people can find you, what your address is, or what your phone number is, or some kind of contact form so they can get in touch with you. So a basic website would be fine. On like a site like Wix or WordPress, it doesn't need to be fancy, but it does need to be user-friendly, clear calls to action, preferably mobile friendly too, because folks might visit you on their computer, but they might also do it on a cell phone. Moving on, I did want to mention Google marketing. I don't know if anyone is familiar with this. When you Google something like a restaurant or an organization, people see this often on the right-hand side of their screen before they even get to your website. So you can go to, I believe it's still business.google.com, and claim your Google business profile. You have to follow their rules for how to do that. But once you have claimed it, it will give you this, you manage this business profile. And then you can go in and you can make edits. So the edits can be photos. The edits can be your website, your address, your phone number, and your hours. I would say hours is like the biggest thing I see businesses do wrong, because if you've ever looked up a restaurant, sometimes the hours on Google don't match the hours on the restaurant's own website. That's very confusing. But if you're looking for people to visit your museum or something like that, make sure that your hours are up to date, so that before people even get to your website, they'll know, and they won't be disappointed if they show up and Google said that you're open, but you're not. I'm curious if anyone on this call is experienced with that as well, but I will move on for now. So this is nice because Heather mentioned earlier, looking for like partners for promotion or cross promotion. I would say a lot of times it's free to cross promote. That would be partnering with other organizations or other, you know, either similar or different from you organizations or businesses, or other people on social media to co-promote and co-brand marketing materials. This could be including multiple logos. This could be tagging other organizations on social media. It really is a way to get you in front of new audiences, and a good opportunity to just kind of work together, because we're all kind of, you know, trying to achieve the same goals, which is to promote Chester County 250. And if we can do it together, even better. So I can tell you the Community Foundation does this a lot to highlight what other nonprofits are doing in the community. And it really is nice because if we get tagged in something, we will share it as well. And if we tag someone else in it, we hope they'll do it as well. It's also just great, like if you have, I would say, like sponsors you want to recognize, it's just an opportunity. So please take advantage of cross promotion. And other ways to collaborate would be working with interns. If you ever feel that your marketing team at your organization is not as strong as it can be, maybe you don't have someone solely dedicated to marketing. We've had a lot of success working with Westchester University to find marketing interns. I've also heard of folks working with the high schools to find marketing interns. Students know more than certainly any of us do, I would say, about social media, emerging social media. It's easy to teach them a lot of social media tips and tricks and what you're used to, and even things like managing websites. If you need resources for connecting to Westchester University, I'd be happy to share those with you. Just put a message in the chat or reach out to me after this. because they use a site called Handshake, and we post internship opportunities, and that's how we get our marketing and our business affairs interns. So that's a good place to go for support. I also put a note here about influencers. You know, if they don't have to be like these giant influencers like the Kardashians. I'm talking about local people with big social media followings, who you can work with to promote your content. You can ask them. That's like all you can really do, to get in front of them and ask them. Some folks work with you for free. Some folks might have a price to work with them. It might be a nice way to get the word out about what you're doing, via social media, and reach new audiences. We kind of had success with this for one of our events, where somebody with a big following was a judge, and it was cool because we gave her a role. She was a judge in our dessert tasting competition, and then we tagged her in all of our promotions, and she shared them, and they got in front of a lot of people. Now, not all of them were people located in Chester County, but that's okay. We were using it just to broaden our reach, not necessarily to like sell tickets or anything like that. So, marketing goals are sometimes just branding. So we talked about social media. I also have a little more on traditional media or print media. Certainly, thank you, County Lines, for joining us. We have good relationships, and I would encourage all of you to have good relationships with local newspapers, regional magazines. They can really help get your message out in another place. And sometimes they're really looking for content. So once you build those relationships with any reporters or editors, you can pitch them human interest stories, or you can send them press releases. I would say the biggest thing that I've heard from journalists that they're looking for is if you can find a way to connect what's happening in like the national news with what's happening at your organization locally, they would be more likely to cover those stories. And yeah, you could just go on their website and find their editor's contact information in a lot of cases to get in touch. Similarly, there's always opportunities to distribute posters, brochures, and flyers at places like the libraries, the visitor centers, sometimes local cafes or shops or community centers like, the YMCA, for example. So consider continuing to print materials, because people still do pick up hand printed materials, and get your message out in as many places as you feel is appropriate for your audience. And certainly face-to-face personal outreach is always an opportunity. Those would be booths or displays at some of the gatherings taking place, festivals, think like, the Mushroom Festival, stuff like that, where there's a lot of people. There might be opportunities for you to be a vendor, or for someone in your organization to be a vendor, to get the word out. And in that case, you can talk to people, talk about these initiatives, and promote your events. Some of them are free, some of them are paid, some of them have nonprofit discounts too. So just doesn't hurt to ask. Or you can sometimes trade with them. Like if you're a nonprofit and they're a nonprofit, maybe there's a way for them to do something at your event and you to do something at their event. This is the piece where I hope we can be the most helpful. You might already be aware of it. When you go to America250chesco.org's website, you will find the calendar of events. Please, once you have events, once you have the details, add your content to this calendar. We, and sometimes my interns, go through this content calendar monthly to create the social media promotions that we put out on Chesco 250's Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn pages. So if you're doing great stuff, congratulations. That's like half the battle here. But if you're doing great stuff, please tell us so we can promote it further and reach more audiences. Another place, if you are using Facebook to promote your events, I don't know if you're familiar with this page. It's a public group. It's called Chester County Visitors Bureau's. Sorry, it's called All Things Chester County. It was created by the Visitors Bureau. Basically, the Visitors Bureau exists. They highlight so many things happening, but they can't highlight everything happening. So if you're maybe a smaller organization, like working on upcoming Juneteenth programming, that's amazing. they're probably not going to push it out at the Visitors Bureau, but you can post it in this Facebook page. And this group has over 85,000 members. So more people will see it there than like on your Facebook page if only 1,000 people follow your organization on Facebook. So, you know, I can show you how to share it to a page. You just really have to join that group. And then whatever content you publish, you can also publish it on that page. It is a great place to get in front of a lot of eyeballs. And that's really what we're looking for. Free ways to do that. And that is free. So moving on here, sorry if I'm going quickly, but just want to make sure if you're doing all these marketing efforts, you're going to want to find a way to measure your success at the end, because whether you report to a board or a boss, someone's going to ask, how's it going? And you need a way to measure your success. So there's lots of places to view analytics. The analytics you view and analyze like kind of varies depending on what you're measuring, but there's things like Google Analytics where you can look at your website traffic. Website traffic measures everything from, you know, what page people come into your website on to which pages on your website are the most views and how much time people spend on each page of your website. So play around in Google Analytics if you really want to spend a day looking at all the different things you can measure and analyze. But it is a good idea to measure things like, you know, how many event tickets you sold. And you might do that through, you know, we have a Stripe payment portal where we can view stuff like that. Similarly, if you're a membership organization, maybe it's not ticket sales, maybe it's how many new memberships did you get. So make sure that you're measuring those things over the course of a month, a quarter, a year, whatever makes the most sense for you. Similarly, you can track your social media engagement depending on which platform you're on. If you're on Facebook or Instagram, Meta makes it really easy to measure how many likes you get, how many comments, how many shares, how many reach. And that is a good measure of like how many eyeballs you're getting in general. And sometimes it's positive comments and sometimes it's negative comments, but it just tells you comments. So you can just use that number in general. That's why people say like, there's no such thing as bad press. If it still gets you in front of eyeballs, sometimes it's okay. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes you would want to shut off comments on those sites, but hopefully that doesn't happen very often. Event attendance, you can track how many attendees participate. You know, for virtual sessions like this one, we had more people register than attend. So you would just have to like, if you want to measure how many people come versus how many people register, you would have to just make sure that you took a attendance at your Zoom session. But that might not matter. You might just measure registrations in general, especially if you're sending out a recording afterwards. And then you can also collect feedback. That's something we use through SurveyMonkey a lot of times. There's a lot of sites. You can do it through Google. Some are paid, some are free. So yeah, you can send out surveys. You can gauge your perception, get feedback, and you can make improvements for future programming based on your feedback. So you can also just monitor reviews. People are leaving unsolicited reviews all the time. Google, Facebook, some cases Yelp. You can always engage with them, and that's a way to just monitor overall how you're generally doing. So that's the gist of what I wanted to go over. You know, digital and traditional marketing strategies used in collaboration with one another is a great way to not put all your eggs in one basket and to reach people kind of where they are, working to foster partnerships, measuring your insights, identifying ways to collaborate, setting awareness, engagement, and goals for your organization, and working together to have a call to action and to promote Chester County's rich history. And I think that's it for my my comments here. Yeah, we have another session scheduled for next month on the third Friday monthly, which this might, you know, be a conflict with Memorial Day. So it's actually May 30th, another session called Marketing Tell Your Story. And then we have these Zoom in to make history sessions. There's one on next Friday. And this is more the session where we talk about what are you doing? What are we all doing? How can we all work together? So with that, I would love to stop sharing my screen and see if anyone has any thoughts, questions, ideas, or anything that I missed. Got a pretty quiet crowd today.
Can you remind me again what the website is where we can drop the programming that we're doing for so you guys can be aware and possibly promote it?
For sure. Yeah, let me exit out of here. And since we have time, if I can manage to do this, I will pull it up on my screen and actually just show you. Share. Hopefully you've been here because you probably registered for this session through the website. We have a lot going on, but if you either scroll down on the homepage, so sorry, that's something else. If you either scroll down through here or go here to programs and events, it's going to bring you to the same thing, right? This page, programs and events, you have to scroll down quite a bit because, you know, these are some of the workshops coming up. This is a lot of things happening, but right here, this is Chester County Brandywine Valley's calendar. And this is where we are importing it onto our site. It's called something technical. I'm sorry, I don't remember the exact verbiage, but these are all of the things that we know that are happening that have to do with Chesco 250 or have to go with history or heritage or community events. And this is where we're going constantly to look for promotional things that we can promote for the social media sites. So if you have content that you want to add to this site, I have instructions here. And this is going to load for you a PDF with instructions. Oh, it's an extranet. That's what it's called. So you could go to this website. You can use my username and password, and you can add your events. You add collateral and you go to the calendar of events, and you can add your events directly to this site. If that's too much work for you, if you're like, you know, don't have a dedicated marketing person and you prefer, I actually told you right here, you can email this website or this email address. Sorry, didn't mean to actually click it. With this subject line, and you could give us each of these like details and we'll just add it to the site for you. Because we're trying to make this easy for you, knowing that it's a little bit of a lift because you're already doing so much programming. But once you're here, you'll both be on the website and then be on the social media site. And a lot of times, if what's happening is of interest to Chester County, Brandywine Valley tourism, they can promote it too.
Great, thank you.
You are very welcome. Well, I hope this was helpful. If you have any further questions, I'm pretty much always available.
Thank you so much for putting this together, Beth.
You're welcome. I'll send it out with the recording.
Thank you.
And I hope that you will all join us again for another session soon. And yeah, thanks for all you're doing already. And as the planning progresses, there might be more questions, because if what you're planning right now is theoretical, once you have more vision, maybe we can help you walk through like marketing with an example of what you have going on. So excellent. I won't take up any more of your time. And oh, I do see one one comment before we wrap. Shannon did tell us that County Lines would love to include your events in their magazine too. Okay, so info@valleydell.com. So whatever you're working on, Shannon, I don't know how much lead time you need since the magazine is monthly. Probably what you have going on for May has already gone to print, but perhaps like what you have for June or July, if you send it to their email, they can get you in the listing of the calendar of events for those future issues. And I believe it's just text that you need, right, Shannon? No photography, no artwork. Maybe it depends.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
And we
Okay.
are wrapping up May now, but if you have anything late breaking, you can still send it to us and we can get it on our online events calendar and possibly in our events newsletter that goes out to our 20 some thousand subscribers. So
Awesome. Yeah, that's also a really great source. And County Lines is great because it's Chester County, but also a little bit into Delaware and a little bit beyond those county lines. So a great way to reach even more individuals, I would say. Excellent. Okay, well, thank you all and enjoy the rest of your weekend. Okay, I will see you all soon, I hope.